Also, IP allows access to technical business information and knowledge. It will help you understand the IP system and allow you to access information on existing technologies. So through the information disclosed in the patent application, for instance, and allow you to build up from existing inventions to create something new. IP allows you to avoid the risk of having your rights infringed or violated by somebody else, and protecting your assets with IP prevents such type of situation. And also, IP can help you generate new revenues and attract finance, as you can license or sell your IP, strategic alliances, joint ventures. To corruption. Have a summary. If you have a certain shape of your product, it could be protected by design rights. If you have products that have a specific geographical origin and possess qualities or a reputation that are due to that origin, it could be protected by geographical indication. So, also I would like to add that this is a collection of different rights. They can be used in isolation or cumulatively. And an important step will be to first identify and apply for the adequate type of IP right for your creation, and that is where our tool comes in. So I would like to introduce you to our IP diagnostics tool that will help you identify IP assets you might have in your business and how to manage them. So it is a self-evaluation tool targeting IP strategies for SMEs. By using the IP diagnostic tool, you receive personalized reports instantly on your IP situation. It can be used by any small business or any individual. It is available on either a computer or a mobile phone, and the IP diagnostics tool uses business-friendly language to help you identify the IP assets in your business. It is also free of charge and really easy to use. It is available in 7 languages, so you can use it in English, in French, in Spanish, in Russian, in Chinese, Arabic, and Japanese. And the tool covers key aspects of IP for business, and it will help guide discussions with an advisor. So it does not replace any legal counsel, but it will be a very good starting point. So not only this tool will help you understand the IP in your business and the different IP rights you may have, but it will also introduce you to IP management aspects, such as managing employees, confidential information, external suppliers and subcontractors, licensing, or how to protect and defend your IP. So this will help you to develop an IP management strategy. Its purpose is to support young enterprises in developing their capital and strategy in terms of IP. It will give you preliminary advice on IP assets, and you can use the reports as a starting point. And finally, it will also be very useful to discuss the reports in more detail with an IP expert, as I said, on how you can protect the identified IP assets and integrate an IP strategy in your business. So let's take a hypothetical case. We have an electric bike producer. Its innovation is a battery that recharges in under 10 minutes, and the name of the product is Speed Ride. So for this product, we have a logo, we have an attractive design, we have external providers for some of the battery's components. We also have a website, we have employees, and we intend to sell this product locally and internationally. And of course, we have confidential information. So now I will just take a few minutes to do a live demonstration on our website.
No, talaka dinchina kanapadto, talaka itna kanapadto. Talaka itna illu. Mali demonstrate
sharing.
నాకు దించుకుని వెళ్తున్నాడు కూర్చో
Just 1 second.
సురేందర్ అన్న కూర్చో కూర్చుని లాక్కు
So you will have to go on the WIPO's website, WIPO IP Diagnostics tool. I will share the link in the chat box, of course, and you just have to click on Start WIPO IP Diagnostics. You do not need any registration to access the tool. So you will have 10 preliminary questions. We identified 10 business areas that we think intersect the most with IP. So we'll take, for the purpose of the demonstration, the hypothetical case for HYDERABAD. So it will ask you if you have developed a product or any innovative process or service. We'll say yes. If you have generated any materials like manuals, pamphlets, labels, videos, software, we'll say yes. If you use any features like patterns, lines, colors that make your product attractive, we'll say yes. If your business rely on any confidential information, we'll also say yes. If you use a logo or any other sign to distinguish your product, yes, we have a logo and we have an attractive design. If you rely on external suppliers, yes, for our battery, for some of our battery components. If you have or intend to create a website, we have a website. If you manufacture or sell your products outside the country where your business is based, we'll say yes also. If you have employees, we have employees. And if you have access to intellectual property services or expertise, and for the purpose of this exercise, we'll say no. And depending on your business situation, of course, the answers will be different. So you click on next, and then you end up on this page. You have 10 sections. You have the trademark section, you have the confidential information, you have designs, you have creative materials, you have inventive or innovative products or processes, which refers to patents. We have employment aspects. We have licensing, which will be available when we have completed other sections. We have internationalization, website enforcement. So we also have 2 reports. You can click on view, and this first report is about suppliers, independent contractors and consultants. So if you rely on any suppliers, it will guide you through how to manage your relationship with any external suppliers and how to safeguard any confidential information. You can also download this report. And you also have these reports on how to access to intellectual property expertise. So it will give information on how to get legal advice on IP. And you can also download this report. So just for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll just take the trademark section. So it will ask you if you have a trademark registered at the national or regional IP office, and or if you have applied for one. For this hypothetical case, we'll say no. It will then ask you if you have, if your sign is to distinguish your product is any of the following. So it will ask you if it is an invented word or sign, as for example, as Google. If it's a word that hints directly at the product. So for speed ride, it is a word that hints at the product, so I will select this one. It will also ask you if the sign you use to distinguish your products or services is already registered by someone else as a trademark. And we really don't know for this one, so we are going to say not sure for the hypothetical case. But if you click on this information sign, if you are not sure, you can start with searching the WIPO Global Brand Database. So you click on the link, and then you can search for this trademark and see if it's already registered by someone else. So it will then ask you if you are interested in attracting investors to your company, and of course everyone is interested in attracting investors. So it's yes. So it will also ask you, have you considered obtaining the right to use someone else's trademark? And we'll say yes for the purpose of this exercise. And it will ask you if your mark was designed for you by an outside party, and we'll say yes. And then we click on next, and then we have our report. So if you want to change your answer, you just have to click on the little pen here, and then you can edit the questionnaire. You can also just view the report, and then you have access to your tailor-made report. And I recommend just to really download the report and save it on your computer, so you can read it when you want and really keep it on your computer and go back if you need to read it, and if you need to show it to your legal counselor. For example, the trademarks report is a personalized report to your situation. So depending on your answers on the questionnaire, it will be different. So it's a 4-page report, and if you complete the 10 sections, you will get a 50-page report in total. So for the trademark report, it will describe how you can benefit from your trademark. It will give you advice about the mark distinctiveness. It will give you advice on what is a strong trademark, what is a weak trademark. So this report is really good as a basis for to get discussions with a legal counselor. It does not replace any advice from an IP expert, and it is quite really good just to start and really understand the purpose of IP. So if after completing the 10 sections you still have questions about IP, you can click on more information about on IP, and you will end up on our website and our publication series of guides. And then I will just take a few minutes to introduce you to our IP for Business guides. I will just take a few seconds. Let me just share my screen, sorry. Okay. So if you wish to dive deeper into the IP world and have specific questions regarding your designs, your trademarks, your patents, or even licensing agreements, you can check out our website. I will link all the links for the IP diagnostics tool and for this series of guides. So these guides were designed to help SMEs and explain why it is important to be aware of their use and describe what benefits they could get from the use of their IP system. Our most recent guide is called Creative Expression. It is an introduction to copyright and related rights for SMEs and entrepreneurs. And we also have our guide called Enterprising Ideas, which was published in 2021. It is a specific guide for startups, covering all IP issues that a startup may have in their journey. It is a step-by-step introduction to IP for startups and SMEs. So I also advise you to check these two guides. The Enterprising Guide is available in 7 languages: in English, in French, in Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, Russian, and Arabic. You can also find an infographic of this guide on our website. So I encourage you to take a look at these guides on our website, download them and read them. I will, as I said, share all the link in the chat box so you can take a closer look. I hope you will get the chance to use our IP diagnostics tool and also visit our website. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them. You have my email address, ines.pharma@wipo.int, or you can always write to me at this address. Thank you very much, everyone, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions, or can we end the session? I guess there are no questions. I think they've noted down the email. Thank you so much for your session. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. I will just put the links so you can go and use our IP diagnostics tool.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now I request Dr. Subhajit Shah. So he will give a talk on licensing, commercialization of innovations and challenges for MSMEs. Welcome, sir. Dr. Subhajit Shah.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I'm not doctor actually. Yeah, I'm basically just a background. You can clearly set this up. I'm currently working as head of legal and IPR in Resolute Group. So we are an electronic manufacturing services company which is into smart TV manufacturing and wearables and now into washing machines. We are one of the largest smart TV manufacturers in India in terms of volumes and 25% of market share under the brand name called Radiant Appliances in Maheshwar, Crab City. So we manufacture for OEMs like Samsung, Panasonic, then we have our own brand called Meds with a Chinese company called Skyworth. So that's a little background. And other companies which are into digital marketing, gaming, we have something called as Rock Salt, which we do the artwork of animation and game before a video game or a animation film has been made. That's one other company. The other one is Resolute for IP, which we have founded basically to help MSMEs, entrepreneurs, startups, individuals in their IP related journey, which means patents, trademarks, copyrights and designs and any form of intellectual. So that's about my company. And so basically my background is I'm a postgraduate in microbiology and a master's in law from OU, and then I'm a registered patent and trademark agent practicing with the Patent Office, Government of India. Apart from that, I am also holding a PG diploma in patent laws from NALSA and planning and project management from University of Hyderabad. So it's been 21 years of IP experience so far. I started my journey in 2004 working with CII, Confederation of Indian Industry, and then after 18 years moved out as Director CII Telangana to join this group. It's been 1.5 years now. So that's my professional journey. So today's topic is really a very interesting, challenging, and what do you say? It's like IP commercialization, licensing, and challenges in MSMEs. So we all are aware that intellectual property rights in today's world has gained a lot of significance. You have a slide changer? Slide changer? Okay, I'll tell next you. So it's not displayed. So IP, intellectual property rights in today's world is next slide. Yeah. So this is just our company. Next. Next. Yeah. So if you see this very good quotation from Josh Billings, he says that necessity is the mother of all inventions, but patent right is the father. So this sums it up because we have a lot of innovations happening in various pockets. You have today the ecosystem in Telangana is so vibrant with T-Hub, T-Works, Rich, V-Hub. So, but basically you feel that everybody and anybody is doing innovation, correct? Innovation has become a very important buzzword. But do you know that getting this innovation to the market is quite a journey, quite a challenge, and it needs a lot of due diligence to do it. So if you pick up any book randomly, the difference between invention and innovation is generally two schools of thoughts. So WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization, a UN body, has classified this definition into two, which is a very fantastic one. It says that invention is something which is a breakthrough invention, which means that nobody has ever seen it before, which is first of its kind. Suppose if I make an incremental innovation in a television today, that is QLED, OLED or whatever it is today, that's all innovation. But invention is something if I can start making a product which nobody has ever seen, that is an invention. Like it's like Eureka, oh, it's a very good invention. But the other school of thought is, invention is something where you have made it but it is in the lab, but you could not get it to the market. So when you get into the market by doing some kind of due diligence, doing some kind of efforts, looking for venture capitalists, funding, then it becomes an innovation. So biggest example is Steve Jobs, correct? If you see, Steve Jobs was one of the greatest innovators of his time. Why? Because he was using the known platforms of the mobile technology or the computer platform or the processing technology and creating world-class designs like iPod, iPhone, iPad. And he has become a great innovator, and then today the world is reaping the benefits as Apple. You all want to buy those products. So that is the reason he has innovated around the design and found that yes, this is a key differentiator in today's world. Because tomorrow's battle will be fought on designs. Today's battle is fought on quality. See, we will not forget any design, correct? The first TV Dianora TVs in 80s, you have this shutter. Have anybody forgotten those TVs? No. You always remember that. Your first 800 Maruti car, you'll never forget. You might forget the price, you might forget the quality of food in a restaurant, but you will never forget paradise. Though it is, the quality is deteriorating or some people don't like it. Since 1953. So people who are associated with Hyderabad, paradise is synonymous. Though it is synonymous with biryani and all, but the name comes in once you think. So that is how you create a brand and a repute and how you work around it. And that's the importance of IP. Next please. So if you see today licensing, what do you actually license as MSMEs? Correct? It is a technology. Correct? And IP is nothing but a technology. You get an intellectual property on a technology. So what is technology in today's world? The technology which you are using on the phone, the chip, the car, the engine, the EV, the rocket, the nano science or whatever, medical technology, whatever you are using, today's technology. So but this book called Coombs, Greens and Richards have defined technology as a definition of artifact, skill and knowledge. This means by which materials are converted into money. Technology is actually know-how. Correct? How do you get to make a product from an IP? So it is a combination of artifacts, skill and knowledge. Next slide. So if you see, artifacts are the things which are the products, processes and equipment which you need for developing a technology, which is your infrastructure, your capital equipments, your R&D requirements, which is must in any technology to generate. You suppose you want to make a vaccine, so you need to have the requisite technology, the machines for extraction of the virus from the samples, then the serum samples, then extracting the protein, then putting it into an antigen, antibody coating and all that. Then knowledge, you need the knowledge which is the protocol, correct? As scientists, you all have to have that requisite knowledge. That comes from your documentation, going to college, formal system, informal system, YouTube or whatever it is today's generation. So that is the other part. So one is the equipments, the knowledge, and the other one is skills. So embodied in individuals' abilities, values and beliefs. So again you have to have that skills to perform that knowledge of the experiment. Correct? So in a lab you will have the scientist will not perform. He will give directions to his skilled workers. Today you run this PCR, today you run this chromatography technique, give me the results, I will interpret and analyze. So these three combinations together will give rise to technology. Next please. So if you see today's world, these are the forms of technologies which we are all having. Base technology, key technology, spacing and emerging. So in this I would say chat GPT. You all know chat GPT now. It has become a buzzword. Everybody wants to ask chat GPT, draft a letter, draft a essay, draft a things, everything. I think you don't need anybody, but yeah. I really like this quotation that somebody said AI will not become a conqueror. Okay, AI will exist, but it can't conquer human thinking, critical thinking. But AI will be a cooperative and creative co-worker, provided you can use it as a good tool. Okay, so I would say emerging technologies are those. AI, is one, and then machine learning or that. Pacing technology is something which is pacing with the time. 5G is a pacing. Now people are working on 6G. So these are pacing technologies. It paces with time, where your bandwidth, the users are increasing. There's a load on the entire ecosystem. So you start pacing and you build your technology. Now there's a treatment for you will soon see that after 10 years down the line, you will not be treated based on your symptoms. You will be treated based on your genetics. So you have this company called, here in Hyderabad, Genome Patri, and this is called as this, I think, Anu Acharya's Map My Genome. So what they do is they take your sample from your saliva, and then they do a DNA sequencing of your genome. And then based on that, they give you a personalized medicine based on your ailments. So you will come to know in the next 10 years whether you will have a heart attack, whether you will be prone to cancer, whether you will be actually diabetic or not, or you will have diseases. So you will be having a picture of your own health 10 years from now. So it's a preventive health care through personalized diagnostic medicine or a tool. So that is how you do. These are all pacing technologies which are pacing with time. And then you have this base technology which are no longer gives competitive advantage. I think most of the SMEs use this base technology every day. A CNC machine, a lathe machine, or some kind of normal cutting, drawing, AutoCAD and all that, or your main assembly lines which are not out of the edge, but yes. And then a key technologies, yes, a few MSMEs are into key technologies provided in life sciences or pharma, where they have made some new formulations, new processes or products and come out with some innovations which can actually qualify for a patent. So, but basically the pacing and emerging technologies are to be looked at. If you can focus on them by doing a wide space analysis through a patent search to understand what are the grey areas where less of patents have been filed, less of innovations have been done, then you can actually understand and start to innovate there. Like now if you see, non-invasive technologies are in medical. So how do you analyze your sugar content without pinching a needle inside? So you have this this sugar fit, there is a patch which is on infrared. So you just you put that patch on your body and then you have an app. The moment you scan the IR code with the patch, it gives you the sugar level in your blood. So you don't have to do a penetrative, kind of penetrative kind of measurement to do your sugar testing. So nowadays these are all emerging technologies which are moving ahead with time, and we have to actually analyze and go ahead with that. So that is another one. Next please. Next slide. So here if you see, the topic is IP commercialization. So in a basic layman term, what do you mean by commercialization? A commercialization is a term which you want to get your product or a process which you invented into the market. So it refers to making your IPR marketable and earning profits through it. So in India, if we discuss commercialization, it is like opening a Pandora's box, because one thing leads to a lot of complexity. Because first they question you on the ownership of IP, whether you are the legitimate owner of that IP. The first question comes. If I say I have a patent, you have to prove that the patent is yours. The process which is there, whether it is being done, tested, validated, and then you have the production, mass production, commercial production, then you talk about commercialization, correct? So there is a lot of questions which will arise when you say you have a product or a process which is ready to go to the market. Okay, so in a layman term, it is making your own IP going to the market is called IP commercialization. Next please. So basically if you see avenues for commercialization, suppose you have an IP, now whether it is a patent or a copyright or a trademark or a design or something which is there, it will, how do you commercialize? So you sell your IP rights. It's just like a tangible property, a piece of land or a piece of house which is there, you sell. So you sell your IP, okay? One-time IP or royalties or by giving it. So it is your choice, like how do you want to sell your house or a tangible form. The other one is licensing. So you give a license on your intellectual property. It can be an exclusive license, it can be a non-exclusive license, it can be a cross license, it can be multiple non-exclusive license to everybody. So it doesn't have to be that you have to be the IP owner definitely. You can assign also, because sometimes you do not have the money or the bandwidth or the finance or the capital to manufacture that. So you assign somebody, a product development company, you assign your IP to that company to develop that product and process, and in return it makes that IP marketable or commercializable. So that is what you do. Then you can go alone in the market. So if you have the bandwidth, take capital from the bank, start manufacturing and then make it yours. Or contract for services and corporate partner. Like contract for services, we are the electronic manufacturing service company. We are an EMS company. So people give us contracts. So right now we are manufacturing Firebolt watches. The watch which I am wearing is a Firebolt watch which is manufactured in our plant in Medchal. So we don't own the IP. So we have been contracted as a contract manufacturing service to manufacture, assemble and give them the orders. So we don't so when we signed a contract, we are told that we have entered into for assembling, manufacturing and doing the number of pieces. So any IP violation, any IP thing is, we are not into anything. Or anything comes out also is owned by the company which has given us that. So it does contract manufacturing services is one form where they commercialize. Or you corporate partner, you enter into joint ventures, you enter into networking firms, you enter into you deals with companies and look for corporate partners to look for your IPs to be sold, to be licensed, to be commercialized. So you look for partners, you look for good companies. Next please. So technology assessment, as I said, before you understand that yes you have an IP, first you need to understand your technology as an MSME. What technology, how do you assess your technology, and how do you actually convert that into the next step of IP. So first is the basic is, as an MSME, it's important to assess the technology before commercialization, a way to understand your internal strength and potential technologies you have. Then only you will be able to pitch better, negotiate better and go into the market. So because if you know that yes, I have a technology which is patentable, which is having some innovation, inventive step, novel, then I will discuss with my team whether I can file a patent, whether I will commercialize it, or whether I will manufacture it, or whether I will license it, or whether I will do a thing. So the basic thing is you first assess your technology. Next, whether it is a key technology or an emerging or a basic technology. So this is what you try to do. You do a triage, technology assessment triage. So what it does is it facilitates the assessment of technical and monetary value of a new technology, and then it facilitates assessment of a patent's commercial strength, and then it helps universities or companies in identifying a potential commercialization path for their R&D activities. So this is how you will understand. First you will understand the technical and monetary value. Suppose how do you understand whether you have put in a technology? You will understand the triage. You will understand the monetary value of the assessment of that technology, whether it is valuable, how much I have spent in infrastructure, capital and all, and whether it is giving me a new value. Or then you will see the assessment of patents, because every technology might not lead into a patent. Correct? You might have a new technology which is already known, a better technology which is reducing your, reducing your cycle time or reducing your, increasing your production, but known, not patentable, but serving the purpose, commercialized. So please understand that of all the patents in the world, only 5 to 6% of the patents are commercialized. Okay, balance 95% are never commercialized. So just imagine an MSME talking about commercialization is like moving a mountain, not even a hill or a small valley or a hillock. Because even MNCs are not able to commercialize their patents. Then the question arises, why do you file patents then? When we are talking about only 5% success rate of commercialization of your patents, 95% is what then? Is it rubbish or is it kind of a, what do you say, is it not worth it or invaluable, or why do you file? So people file this because it's a knowledge repository. Okay, it's like a advertisement to the entire world. Suppose I file a patent today through a global, international filing system, which is called the Patent Cooperation Treaty. So what it does is it publishes your patent in 170 countries. Okay, 170 countries or whatever. Now the current PCT agreement is around 180 or 1. So in a free advertisement, your company name, your inventors, your technology is being passed on to all these people who are looking at you. Whether you are worth it or you are having something, people will question next. So you never know, you might get a call from any part of the world saying that yes, I am interested to understand your technology or do a know-how or a transfer, immaterial of patents. That's a secondary thing. See, because patents, if you study a patent document, I am sure 80% of them will not understand what the product it is. Because the way it is drafted as a techno-legal document, it's very, very tough what exactly it translates into. Because it's a method and system processes with so much complex of techno-legal jargons. So you will not be, and one product has multiple patents. Okay, a single, like an IBM laptop has 800 patents. So you don't know which part of the patent is being claimed. So for you to understand, to go into the technical know-how, you have to directly talk to that inventor who will actually give you a license on that know-how. Then you will come to know what is he talking, he will get down to your language. Otherwise, the superficial language which is protected or which is just enough to get a patent, people will disclose that. Okay, it doesn't disclose entire specifications into the patent office. Because what is a patent? You know, a patent is something which is a right which is given by the government in return to your disclosure to the patent office for a period of 20 years from stopping others from making, using, selling or importing that particular invention. So what do is you give your entire invention. But when you give your invention, there is no way that you cannot, there is nothing to that you should, when you give, there is no mention that you should also give the technical know-how. I will give you an invention, you can work it out. If you don't work it out, you can challenge my invention. Because any point of the time, a patent can be revoked during the lifetime if it is not being worked out as you said. So you are also one of the grounds. So you have to give a very simple language. But patents are given into a very techno-legal language. So that is the reason you have to be understanding how do you actually talk to your IP owners and get those licenses. When you are talking about licenses, that you need to understand what is the term of the license, jurisdiction, how many you will use, what is all that. Then it comes into a mutual agreement. Next please. So how do you do a technology triage is you perform a preliminary study of technology based on discussions with clients, understand whether the technology is feasible. So first thing, as you know, startups today are more problem solving institutions, correct? That is the reason any startup are successful, because they are identifying the problem and then solving it rather than creating a product and pushing it to the market. It is a pull effect, you know, the product is being pulled because there is a need. They understand because they are close to the customers. They understand because they are day in and day out working with problem solutions which they have gone through. If you see anything, they have done some research or whatever it is, they have gone that, so that is the first preliminary stage. And then they do a commercial feasibility of the technology product. So today when I was coming in, I saw that, you know, people nowadays, earlier you first set a team, you build a marketing strategy, you build a big admin team, you start hiring people, you get a CTO, you get a CFO, you get an everybody. But the basic thing is you should first get your product right. That there is a demand for the product, there is a market for it, there is a model where I can scale it and it is a fit into the market. Then I can get my team and admin. So a lot of startups were actually trying to create teams and then work on the reverse, putting the horse actually, you know, behind the cart. So you have to understand that, you know, putting the cart behind the horse, you know, the cart should be actually behind, the horse should be front, but the other way around. So they understood that it's not, first you have to work out a product which is acceptable in the market. Whether it will be anything which is there, patentable, not patentable, that's a secondary question. But for commercialization, yes, IP, it gives a valuation, definitely. Because if you have an IP, you can, but when you, even if you see the, I'm not sure how many of you see Shark Tank episodes, you know, when you go and pitch for a thing, they don't care whether I have 5 IPs, I have 10 IPs. They ask you what is your order value, what is your run rate, how much you have sold, how many orders you have, how are you scaling, what is your franchise model, how many things, how many valuations you have done, on what basis you will be doing this. Correct? And how have you created a brand, digital marketing, how have you created customers. IP, yes, we respect, because definitely if you have an IP product, it is a great thing, you get a more valuation for your industry, you can raise more funds, but basically is, so then compare technology and the commercial standing of the product technology vis-a-vis competing products. The third step is to compare. So then you have this technology, say I have a now chatbot, you have it a ChatGPT, you have a Google against a new other framework. So how do you compare each of these technologies? And how will you actually, so ChatGPT is now trying to dominate the market, correct? You have many other chatbots, but many other solutions, but definitely your comparison vis-a-vis your technology of ChatGPT looks like more, you know, kind of feasible, understandable, scalable, and people are trying to terms to it. So the more you can compare and get more points on that, you will find that yes, your technology is doing well. So first you analyze your own technology at the background, do a assessment through the customers, see where there is a demand, and then compare vis-a-vis the others. So that is how you come into a technology triage. Next. So implications of technology commercialization. So this is like basic, I think this is like employment opportunities, economic development, enhanced global competitiveness, corporate revenues and profits. So next. So now what we say is all that is patentable is not necessary commercially. So this is what we have to understand when you are talking about commercialization for MSMEs. So always MSMEs might be thinking that yes, I want to have a patent, I want to commercialize it. It's good that you will have a good culture or an ecosystem, or you are thinking about that lines, but always your patent might not get commercialized. You need to come to terms with it. How do you work around it? How do you actually create models which will be profitable, scalable and sustainable? So that is how, next please. So commercialization of IP is making money out of one ideas, but as such an idea has no value until it makes into a tangible assets. So we can say that commercialization of IP is a continuum of activities and actions that provide the protection, management, valuation and value creation. So as long as you do not put that into a tangible product, like today, like 2 days back or 3 days, I think a Slovakian startup made a flying car. I don't know whether you've seen it. You know, it's a flying car which took off, flying 8,000 feet above at a speed of around, so just like the moment it lands, it has those, it closes its wings and all, it becomes a car. So the flying car, a patent was already filed 4 or 5 years back, and today after 5-6 years it has been realized. So if you see the technology how is progressing, so if you see commercialization also, it is like if I ideate today, the product might get commercialized after 5-6 years. So if you see Apple's wireless charging platforms, those drawings, Apple's have already filed patent in 2017 or 16 they started working, and now those patents are granted and now they are getting the fruit of it. So then they are commercialized and they are commercializing their inventions. Next. So this is how you talk about how do you strategize, like how do you strategize or monetize your IP. So you either give an exclusive license or a non-exclusive or a cross license, partial license, licensing in or know-how license. So if you see cross license and partial license is very, very important in electronic sector, telecommunication sector, because if you see Qualcomm, it gives so many licenses for various companies to do research on 5G, 6G. So it's a cross license. And then partial license is given by Apple to Samsung, Samsung to Apple, and all those companies to manufacture a particular part of a phone. So all these are partial licenses which goes in, cross licenses to manufacture a product. Because you know, like how Foxconn is one of the largest manufacturing arm of Apple, but then it has got so many multiple licenses to manufacture. So it is a complete exclusive, it can be a non-exclusive because Apple has given to many other players. So it has got a non-exclusive licenses, but it manufactures the major chunk of Apple iPhones in the world today. So next, and then know-how license. You have something called as know-how licenses, where you will actually give a more in detail. Suppose you want to transfer any technology today, with that you annex some know-how, which is that particular sensitive data which is there to perform that experiment or to understand the processes. You also have a know-how agreement. As lawyers, you sign a technology transfer agreement and there is a know-how license also, where you say that the particular know-how is there and it is being transferred under an agreement, which the know-how is between that company and it is kept a kind of an annex document. Next please. So commercialization, thinking in commercial terms, you have to always think in commercial terms when you are talking about commercialization. You have to first satisfy your customer need, you have to solve a pain, have a product, process or a service, know the industry and a company and entry points. And then for a successful spin-off, you must have all these, a market, a valuable business plan, a management team, critical resources and defensive technology. So first I think you should have those points. When you remember as an MSME, you need to have a pain point and a solution for it, and then a product ready, and then know what the industry needs. Then the secondary comes a market, a valuable, definitely when there is a pain point, a product is there, a market also can go in there nowadays. It's because huge, we are 1.4 billion, so market is important. By default in India, you will find the market if the product is good. You see today startups, just imagine like people into food industry or into FMCG, it is not about getting the volumes, it's about making the model sustainable. Okay, you can get a first order or a first turnover of say 5 crores, 10 crores, but what is your next year turnover for 3 years, 4 years down the line? Are you expanding? Are you creating value? Or how is your brand value? How many rounds of valuation you have raised, how many investors have you got in. So those are the questions which you need to understand, because a lot of startups, though they have started, become unicorn, are they actually doing cash burn, or they are valuating at a higher price, or they are actually diluting the stake through giving equities to third, fourth parties? That is also a question to see. But for an MSME, I think it's very essential that you have to play it very kind of, the market. 65% of the India's GDP is contributed by MSMEs. Correct? So if you see, MSMEs might not have the time to innovate, because for them intellectual property rights always is a backstage. Even for my company, we are always worried about production. How many TVs I will produce, how many watches I will make, how many, my assembly lines, how many things I have. The moment my target is reached in my dashboard in the daily quota, I am happy. And how many, inspections happen in a year. My factory license approval, boiler license approval, this license, that license, CEIG, all that. So where will IP come in for an MSME? Just imagine, unless and until you are a product driven company where you are trying to launch new products in the market. But for a service company or for a company which is into manufacturing, I think IP will not be into the forefront as for a product company. But even if you are a product company, the challenge is I have 4 or 5 companies here which are manufacturing nutraceuticals and veterinary products for feed for poultry. They have fantastic products, good brands, not able to market. The other guy also, a competitor of his, same products, different brands, doing very good. The same products, the same market segment, the same MSME, these are the veterinary and animal health care, it is different company operating in the same terrain in Hyderabad. One is doing good, one is not doing good. So what could be the reason? Could be the marketing team, could be the digital space, because they both claim the products are good, could be they are not able to connect well with the consumers, could be there as an issue. So that is how you have to create, how do you gel with the consumers, be in touch, proximity as an MSME. Then your marketing people also are a great source when you are talking about IP commercialization, because they give you first-hand information whether your brand is being copied, is there any problem with your brand, do you need to retweak it, do you need to go back to the dashboard, do you need to go back to the your drawing board to see, to reiterate and come back with a new product which the market might need. So that is how you try to reiterate and work. Next. So if you see, India today, it ranks 30th out of 134 countries in prevalence of foreign technology licensing. So if you see true perspective of technology licensing in Indian context is today, there is one is MNC partnering with Indian companies with innovations, and MNCs are entering Indian market. So these are the 2 areas where we always see, that MNCs partner with Indian firms to actually bring in their technology and then make a joint products. The other one is directly they come into through foreign direct investments, which is very rare, or through that direct route which the government has stopped, or for some reasons you have to take special approvals. But these 2 are the way of actually, if you want to work on a product or market, or try to do a licensing model with various MNCs or technology companies. Next. So if you see, the merits and risks of a licensing strategy is that when granting or transferring a license, there is the risk of increasing competition in the market, and there is benefit of being able to generate stable profits. So when receiving a license from another company, there are risks including the payment of royalties and the restrictions on the use of IP rights in the business operations. So there is always a risk also, because once you give licenses to X, Y, G companies, you are making your increasing competition in the market, correct? A lot of people will start producing the same product. You're giving the license to XYZ, it becomes massive production happens, and then also there will be a there's a risk of increasing competition, and there is a benefit of being able to generate stable profits. So you're also, because once you start increasing production of a product, the other competitors also start coming in. So there's a healthy competition which is happening, your product. But when receiving a license from another company, there are risks including payment of royalties and restrictions on the use of IP rights. So when I am a licensee which is receiving or manufacturing that for your licensor, I have a risk whether I will be paid those royalties, or the restrictions on the use, including the payment of royalties and restrictions on the use of IP right in the business operations. So where there will be also both sides, there is a merit and there is a demerit when you are talking about licensing. Next. So protecting a commercial feasible invention is, first you file a patent application. Suppose if you feel that your technology is novel or you can make a mark, you just have to file a provisional patent application at the patent office. Okay, it's called provisional, like how you get a provisional certificate after completing your degree. Then you get a, what do you say, you get your main degree after convocation after some time. So you file a provisional, block your idea, which is called a priority date and a priority number, and that is valid for the next 12 months world over, so that nobody else can copy your idea. Then you're free to go anywhere in a seminar or in a meeting or presenting to your investors, talking to startups, talking to XYZ, presenting. So your idea is locked, and then to be eligible for patent protection, these are the 3 cardinal rules. I think you have already gone through it. I think it should be novel, it should have some utility, and it should be inventive. So it should be quite non-obvious for a person skilled in the art. So this is like cardinal rule across the world. So everywhere you have this 3 things which a patent will be granted based on that. And protection begins from the date of filing of an application, and this is called the priority date. So first, when you have an idea, you think there is a possibility whether can be protected. It can be protected, it has some commercial feasibility, file an application. It's always, there's no loss, you can always withdraw, you don't have to file the complete, you can let it go if you're not ready with the invention. Because most of the cases, what happens when you're working with biotechnology, you have a lot of, you have a lot of microorganisms, the culture goes wrong, there's a contamination, you're not able to get the desired results within 1 year, you need to call up the experiment. Correct? Or you can easily get a desired result. So you can file the complete. Else you can again file it afresh. But your idea is protected because as scientists, so this one example, what happened is one professor went to Japan from University of Hyderabad. This is a very quite recent example. He went to Japan in the year 2014, and he's a physics professor in University of Hyderabad. So I had an interaction with him and got a patent granted for him for a electrophoresis invention which he had done. So what he had done is he went to Japan and he was fascinated by a LED machine, LED rubbing machine. Basically to clean the LED screen, there is a LED screen rubbing machine. So that was a little bigger in size. So he was really fascinated by the technology. That there is a rubbing machine which is rubbing the screen, LED screen, and it is a machine which is there. So he came back to India and he designed a smaller version of the machine, LED screen rubbing machine. And he, with his drawings and all, he was the original designer of the machine. And he made a smaller version of the design. And he gave it to a company in Kerala to make a prototype. Okay, Trivandrum. So then the company made the machine and had given it to the professor. This happened in 16-17. He went in 14, developed in 15-16. 16 he was handed over the machine. It costed him around 90,000 to make the machine prototype and done. So he was happy and he was using it for his personal use, rubbing his LEDs and other things and all. Then there was no agreement. It's only a work order which has gone or some drawings and all that. And the machine which was available in Japan was larger in size, huge, and it was also costly, around 8 to 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs. So he will not get a patent for it because of course the machines are already in use. There is only mere reduction of size. It might be novel but it might not be inventive. Correct? It has not invented anything new. It is novel in the terms of size. So then after a couple of years, say around 2-3 years later, around 18-19, he saw a paper ad or a magazine while going through that the same machines from the same company were being exported by merely increasing the size a little bit and tweaking it with their brand name. And the machines were sold at around 7 to 8 lakhs, which he got it designed for 80-90,000, which was his own IP, which he had designed, which he had prototyped and done it. The same machines were actually manufactured, made by the same company in Trivandrum and started exporting. So then his antennas opened, he raised the bar and went to the company back and then asked, what are you doing? And then he said, no, we don't have an agreement. Do we have an agreement that we will not make the machine? Did you bind us by any agreement? That, or you have a patent that you are stopping us from? So we are free to do. But the drawings which I have given you, which shows that I am the inventor of this and you copied my drawings. And it is a sheer copy. So I will have to take legal action if you don't stop or you don't give me royalties. Then the university, he informed the university registrar, and University of Hyderabad is a reputed national university. So the company got a little jittery and very little afraid. Then they came to terms with it, saying that okay, we will offer you a royalty of 3%. Only just imagine, only 3% on the machines, or whatever they sold. And the professor is saying around 8 to 9 machines have been sold. So, but then the registrar is now, every university registrar is above, he feels that he is the boss. Though the VCs are there, but no offense to any registrar or anything. So he said, no, 3% is too less. We have to work it out at 15%. Then only we will come to terms, or else we will file a suit against you on cheating, fraud, misappropriation of knowledge, whatever, all sections will put. So now it is still, negotiation is ongoing, to see whether we can come to terms. So my question is, had he been guided properly at that time, that non-disclosure agreement or a particular clause, that if there is an incremental innovation happening out of this tomorrow, or if a patent is being filed from my idea, or a patent or a product is being made from what I have designed today, then I am liable to get certain percentage of the royalty, whatever you make, because my idea was given to you, you have given me that thing. But tomorrow if you do an incremental thing, because my base idea has been there, I will also get. So that clause would have saved his time, efforts and energy now, which he is trying to prove a point. So this is how even MSMEs have to strategize and see that you need to take care when you go ahead. Next please. So where can the company find technology seeds that it lacks? Searching for technology seeds through consultation service using various databases and patent licensing related events. Next. So I'll give you one more example on how an MSME in Bangalore, it was making a pest trap. Pest trap is something for catching pests. Pests are there, they use these artificial pheromones. Pheromones are chemicals which are secreted by insects, which attract other insects. So they coat it with, if you see in hotels you have this blue color light which houseflies do. So the pattern is some insects get attracted to light, some to scent. There's a huge world, so they make artificial synthesis, they artificially synthesize pheromones and they coat it in a pest trap. So they have made this pest trap and filed a design and filed a trademark for it. And they started selling this in the market. We filed a design, the design was filed, granted, they are very happy. We asked them a question, will you be exporting it to other countries? They said, no, we don't see any export market now, we will not be filing it. So things went on well and it went on well. So after 10 or 11 months, we got a call from them saying that we are in problem. I said, what happened? She said, we have got some orders from Africa to supply these test traps, and now unfortunately we do not have a design registered in Africa. So if I send my designs there, it will be copied, because my design is only protected in India. And as per the law, the Paris Convention of the Design says that if I file a design in India, I have to file within 6 months anywhere in the world to claim that novelty. Otherwise it destroys. For a patent it's 12 months. So this was 10 months. So if he goes now and files the same design, his own design will destroy the novelty of his existing design. So either he has to make a separate mold, make a molding and do a kind of new molding apparatus and then set up a new line, or he has to tweak the design, or he has to forego the orders. So what did he do? So then he worked out with a partner there in Africa who was into plastic molding and making these kind of instruments, and then he entered into a JV. So okay, see, this is the design which is there, this is the technology. Anyways, we will code the pheromones. The technology is, the design is anyways cannot be copied, it will be protected. But anyways, the technology which we have synthesized, they can't copy. Africa is so only they will copy the design. So let us make a new design, new brand and file it. So they went with the JV, made a new design and they filed it. So they had to enter into a JV where the profits also got shared. Had they had the design themselves, they could have only manufactured it. So the profit margins reduced. Because they entered into a JV, they had to give the designs had to be tweaked. There was a research, there was some development, there was some production, there was some everything. So had there been a design, they would have only transferred the IP and then they would have just done a production where they would have given some royalties. So then this is how the strategy you have to think. That if you are thinking today, think down the line 4 or 5 years also. Whether you will be expanding, you will not be expanding, whether you need the support system or how will you actually go through. So that is how you will take. Next please. So then this is how one case study is that. See, this is one Odisha based innovator which came up with a burst prevention and puncture curative technology. So what happened is, if you see, the technology has found its place among the top 10 most entries into create the future design in NASA. So it clocked more than 40,000 hours in the last more than a decade. So what happens is, when there is on the highway, if you see, there has been technologies for limiting the impacts of punctures, but there hasn't been a solution to decrease the chances of tire busting due to overheating. So this guy has come out with this invention with the burst prevention and puncture curative technology. Next. So what happened is, according to the inventors, it had clocked more than 40,000 hours and lasted more than a decade in inventing the technology that can be manufactured in existing manufacturing setup and also can be retrofitted in any tubeless self-supported or auxiliary supported tire. But still no company showed interest to buy the technology. So now they have started running their own startup called Taiki Jun. So sometimes your world-class technologies also will not be commercialized or cannot be licensed. So that is how you have to play the game and then see avenues where how you will be, because it might be a disruptor. Nobody would like to take it up, then tubeless tires will not sell. The entire system has to be changed. So when there is a reluctancy, you should think that there might be that you are coming into a market to disrupt. That is why startups are there, to disrupt the market. So if the late the product is going into the market, that means there are a lot of value which people are seeing into it and you can actually create value. Next please. Next. So assessment of report of the invention you should have. Is the invention novel? Can it be protected? Is there a market? Next. Filing for a patent. Now you have an IP then. Next. Finding partners to develop this product, making presentations, prosecuting, identifying a license. Next. And then finding financing and then negotiating licensing agreements. So these are the common standard steps. Next. So this was one more indigenous gas design LPG burner which was made by a person in Calcutta. Basically the invention was on the outer flame ring and the barrel, which was saving around 25 to 35% of the gas for hotel cooking. So this got a patent and then probably no market, because aesthetic wise it is not good, people might not buy it, though it is solving problem. So people are selling. This we tested in Indian Institute of Petroleum in Dehradun. By the way, I was working on this and we got it tested. We got a certificate proving that the efficiency is much better than an LPG burner, which are the normal day stoves which we cook. But still you don't have a much buyer for this. So you have to push sometimes. Though your technology is good, then your design, your prototype. That's why I think today you have this T-Works. In Telangana, you have this technology works, which might do such kind of refinements. Look for partners which can actually sell, which can market, which can digitize your invention far better to have more takers. Next. So this is some of the next one, please. So this is one more, multiple mixer granulator. This was made by a student in Vizag, Rajendra Prasad. His name is Boteru. He was a serial innovator, like serial killer. Now you have serial innovators, serial entrepreneurs. This is a new term, So he made this. Basically, if you see, this machine is used for 5 kg powder to mix, dry, heat, and then make small granules. So basically, if you see today in pharma companies, these 3 chambers are different because the volumes are huge. for API and active pharmaceutical ingredients. One is the first is the mixing chamber, then you have the granulating chamber, and then you have the drying chamber where your tablets and capsules and formulation comes in. So the three stages are done separately in the pharma world. But this person made a small demo where he has put a hopper where you put the powder, there is a mixing chamber with the motor, and then it passes through the filter with some mesh in the between and it granulates, and there is a heater again. With that air compressor you get that entire small tablets which you require of different sizes. So there is sieves and pores which will actually see the thing. So where was this application used to? In B.Pharm colleges. In colleges where you have lab testing, where you will do. So what we have done sometimes, even displaying your innovation is. So when we displayed this invention, people didn't show interest. There was a company called Granules India. There were people from Granules India also in this. So if you see, they might not show. He has filed a patent though. But then Granules India went back, made it more sophisticated and started selling the machines. So though he had a patent, he might not have the teeth and nail to take an action or do a legal battle and all that. So that is the reason, if you see, so what did he do? He just came to terms and he had to sell off. So within 2 lakhs or 1.5 lakh, he sold off the machine to some person saying that that's it. And that is the end of the chapter. So sometimes even if you start disclosing your inventions, get more excited and so you have to be very cautious also. So, because when you're talking with a lot of people around, though your patent be protected, but then you have to play around with big people around. So you need to know when, where, how to strategize to get the maximum ROI back for your invention. Next. So this is basically again, this is not a patent filed, but this is was used Fire Robo, which was commercialized by developed by P.K. Rao in Fire Service of Lucknow. A very innovative idea where you have this kind of a robo which goes inside and explosion sites and all that. But this was commercialized, and these are just like testing by these TIFAC projects and DST projects where your professors are allowed to do some prototypes and then you come back with some invention and then solve the purpose. But they are not scalable and not kind of marketable much, but yes, they give you an idea to how you actually can work on. So this can be now fitted into a drone, this can be fitted into a robot, it can be fitted into a more designer software where it can actually douse the fire or go into a nuclear radiation plant, take pictures and all that. But this gives you an idea. Next. So next please. I think yeah. So authorship does not equal inventorship. So this is also an important aspect when you are understanding, when you are trying to see, when you have in paper publications also, because sometimes MSMEs also do paper publication, also do authors even in academia also. So a person who is named as an author in paper doesn't have to be categorically named as an inventor in a patent application. So as an MSME you should know that, because whatever value addition he has done should be understood, and then he has to take things. So invention was, this is what, I'll just leave the case study because we have a last case study of a company which is very interesting. Next please. So if you see, next. So here, who is an inventor is someone who has created something new or contributed intellectually, and that intellectual contribution is that inventor enables an idea. An invention is enabled by someone of ordinary skill in the art would make or use. If that is being proved, rather than only just getting document, interpreting, then he will be named as an inventor. It's not necessary that I am named in a paper, so I will also be named as an inventor, provided I don't work in that invention. Next. So each person must provide documents explaining their contribution, link those claims, and then you can actually. Then next please. Next. I think let's go to the Next. Yeah. This is the last case study. I think this is a case study on an IP for an MSME. There's a company called Elico. It was called as a meter company, started in 1960. And it is into spectrophotometers. Okay. So this was 1960, which is almost now 40 plus 20, 65 years, 63 years of existence. So they were not aware of IPR till 2005 or 6. Okay. Next. So their MD attended one of their companies, one of the seminars or workshops like this in CI workshop on IPR. Then he went back and then he said that let me spread this IP awareness across the industry and across my people. And then what happened is, next please, they had a very strong R&D team, was doing research, strong portfolio of scientists, but they fell short of something where they never filed patents, never had a portfolio of IP, designs, trademark, copyrights, they were not aware. So then with the continuous R&D efforts and wide technology portfolio, it started the journey in 2005, even though prior to that some technologies are promoted, were there, but next. So then we were there, a part of CII, we started working on it, we started doing some workshops, some more focus-based training programs on patent analytics, understanding, next. And then after continuous efforts, there was a team formed of focused scientists who would actually do continuous work on patenting, patent search, analytics and drafting, next. And then if you see in 1968, their spectrophotometer was like that, and then 1973, 1976, 1979, this were their technology which they were developing, next. Slowly over time, they have started manufacturing and designing their own spectrophotometers, next. And then IP was then made gave them a competitive edge, helped them to consolidate market position and gain investments and increase negotiation power, next. So then this is like we created awareness, and then next please. So now if you see the managing director, the IP chief and the IP coordinator, the IP coordinators are from different departments, and the IP cell coordinates with the functional head of R&D and technical consultation on IP. And the IP facilitation cell provides guidance support. So what does this do is, they don't come to us directly once they have an invention. They first iterate, ideate themselves whether the invention is patentable or not, do a search, understand, then if they need be, they come to the lawyer or the analyst to file a patent or to search, and then make this process more easy and less cumbersome. Next. So this is how to do the reported invention, disclosure, prior art analysis. If it's already existing, with due approval, it's gone for rejection. Then no prior art was cited, with due approval from the MD, they communicate the acceptance to the inventor. So that's how they go to the next level. And then they identify the country of filing, the cost, the return on investment, specification, filing, follow-up, and all these are discussed. Next. And then these are how this divides the strategy. Whether they want to license, they want to do in-house manufacturing, or they do R&D collaboration. If the licensing, whether exclusive, non-exclusive, manufacturing, joint venture, or in-house or joint venture. These are the strategies. Next. So the decisive powers to commercialize the IP lies solely with the managing director of Elico, and Elico holds 70% share of the 30%. So in this, they have a revenue sharing IP policy, where the inventor gets 30% of the revenue from the commercialization and 70% goes to the company. Next. So current portfolio, I think this is like a little old slide. I think if you see, there have more than 55 to 60 IPs now, including patents, trademarks, copyrights, designs, and they have done phenomenally well. And this helped them to get around 6 joint ventures to do after this. So I think 2 with Chinese companies, 3 with US and 1 with UK on various spectrophotometers, and then pH meters, and then blood analysis. So they have an instrument which actually gives 40 parameters from one sample of blood, and then all that. Even they have soil testing and water testing analysis. So recently there were machines were used in this Kumbh Mela, that mobile testing, water testing vans were given in various, so they made this technology available where this machine was plugged into the van. So you don't have to have a lab. So it was called lab on wheels. So that is how Elico lab on wheels was made, and then the testing technologies were used on the wheel, and then it was used for going into the field. So that's how technology evolved. Next, please. So the benefits derived was huge. Like they entered into global analytical instrument markets through original equipment manufacturers and original design manufacturers partnership, and that's how they struck a deal. This was the online water quality analyzer which we were talking about, which now they put it on the IP on wheels, the testing labs on wheels. Next. And then they strengthened their position in electrochemistry and spectroscopy through the products in the India market with their IP regime and portfolio. and that increase their valuation in terms of due recognition. Next. So this is the last 10 IP rules I think which MSMEs should follow, or do's and don'ts probably. The company should have a IP minded and manager or somebody who leads from the front and who understands, respects creation. And all staff should be intellectually property minded. Reasonable investments in IP activity should be a part of the management strategy. And then a company should find a competent consultant. It depends. Agreement should be concluded carefully. A company should use regional IP strategic program promotion network. A company should make autonomous efforts to gather IP related. So my message is that IP is not only about entrepreneurship, startups, or patents, or it's not about only creating R&D or all. IP is about respecting one's knowledge and trying to give due recognition to what is original and making that original work for you, and also derive benefits from others' original work, so that the sanctity, the statutory and the legality of certain inventions are maintained. And it's always said that you should always profit from your IP, but not do a profiteering from your IP. That is the way people will understand and respect one's IP. Because sometimes what happens is people start profiteering from IP, have more monopolistic, unrealistic and uncompetitive advantage if you have patents, and then you dictate the market. So that's when you start profiteering. But when you start profiting and then you go out, then you see world-class companies do not hang on to one product. That's how Tata is made today. Correct? You are into software, you are into FMCG, you are into steel, you are into diversification. So you need to innovate, give products and then move out, and then strategize, look at white space analysis where there are scope and opportunities to deliver and scale and give value-added products to the world, to the society, rather than hanging on from one product. And yes, of course, there are companies like Symphony, like air coolers, present in 60 countries. By just making air coolers, innovating, having around 275 IPs, 30 patents, 275 trademarks, just making over and over innovating on the same product of air coolers, how to actually wall-mounted air cooler, low moisture absorption, high cooling, high efficiency. So then you have a model where you can actually choose to work on. So that is my message. So ultimately, IP commercialization is a kind of a very, very, I would say, very, very vast subject. Because commercialization itself is, you have a lot of IP valuation, audit, due diligence. So a lot of things come into that, and you cannot have a fixed figure just like a land or a flat, or you put a market price. So it always has a wavering thing. So what best can be done with a particular strategy with a level playing field, I think that's the best thing, strategy what MSMEs need to strategize and use it to their advantage. Thank you. I think thanks for this opportunity to the MSME team. I should be open to any questions, and thanks for giving this opportunity. Thank you. Yeah, my email ID is s.saha s.saha, S-A-H-A, at resolutegroup.in, at resolutegroup.in. Yeah, my phone number is 99511 000 88. Subhajit Saha. 99511 000 88. And the email is s.saha at resolutegroup.in. Yeah. Thank you. You have a question? Yes.
So you have been given the wonderful lecture, sir. So you have been convinced us to some extent, as you are going to find a patent, you are going to get the patent. Once you are getting the patent, how to safeguard it from the big giants in the market, and you get so many space editors that the persons are unable to encash the patent by giving some of the wiser person who are in from granted admission. We are in some other case also. So if you are in this case, how you are going to come out? We are going to perform out of this problem.
See, basically now the good question is that you have to now see, earlier there was a case law where you have these social media coming into picture. So there was a big MNC in Kerala into Ayurvedic. I forgot the name of the company, which was making drugs for prenatal and for mother and child care drugs before this outbreak. And there was a startup which was also making the same Ayurvedic formulation for prenatal and obstetrician and child thing. So what happened is, this was around 18-19 case. So the big 400 years old company started copying the small company's brand, the formulation. And though it was a traditional knowledge, it was not patentable. Okay, it was only on the brand they were fighting. So of course, a big brand will always subdue the smaller brand. People will always go. So, but what happened is they started a social media campaign, saying that this brand of ours, which is there, this is the formulation, this is what we have done, this is the thing, is much more better, and this is the thing. It's not defamation. They have not used the other name company. This is our formulation. This is what is on thing. We find this is the best in the market. So please go ahead and do it. So based on the tagging and the meta tagging and all that, and they won a battle. Instead of going to court and getting so many likes and then getting so many nasty comments on that company, saying that such a big fish and such a bad reputation they have done, they have won a battle without going into a legal. So nowadays you can use the social media also to cover your, but the ultimate reposite, the ultimate relief, the remedy is to go to the court of law. But as you rightly said, MSME might not have the budget to actually fight a big Goliath. But sometimes even if you have a strong patent, then it's worth spending. Because if it is worth copying, then it is worth protecting also and then fighting for it. So if your patent is strong and you have the belief and you have a good set of R&D specialists and lawyers, I think you should go for it. Even if you spend some money, you will get that in damages, you will get that in profits, you will get that in your back, whatever you have done in 2x or 3x in your remedy. So you have to take that call, whether you are confident to take that step. Else then you need to, otherwise it will backfire. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Subhajit Shaji. So you have given very good informative session on commercialization of IP. Very best subject of course, you have given very precise, beautiful presentation. So now I request Baldev Yadav Garu, please come on the dais and felicitate Mr. Subhajit Shah. Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Naveen Kumar Garu to give a presentation on trade secret protection and confidentiality information within the organization, especially trade secret confidentiality safety. Sir, Dr. Naveen.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I thanks I thank you. I thank MSME for giving me this opportunity for giving a presentation on the trade secrets. This is one of its kind where many organizations are failing to safeguard their interest within the organization, mainly with the employees. So, I have dealt with some practical issues with regards to this confidential information within the organization, and I am going to throw some light on how it can be safeguarded. So, myself, Naveen Kumar. So, I am a biomedical engineer, and also I completed my law, and I am a practicing advocate. And in the area of intellectual property rights, I have experience of almost 18 years now. I am in this industry of intellectual property rights from past 2005. So I worked in some organizations, law firms, and also now started my own firm. And during this journey, I have helped almost 1,000 small and medium enterprises in obtaining these intellectual property rights, and also have their proper legal documentation which are required in the organization to safeguard the interest of the company. Most important factors are like why we need to protect certain things under trade secrets, and why we should go for patents. So, why we have to fight patents and why we have to keep it as a trade secret is something which many of them doesn't know. So, we will have some detailed discussion on this part, why to go for patent or why to go for a trade secret. So, as I mentioned, we have more than 50 years of experience, and we filed approximately 4,000 applications so far. So basically, I deal with these all types of intellectual property rights, patents, trademarks, copyrights, and designs, and also other legal works. So as you all are aware, like every day, whatever the products we look into this, any product we take, there are 4 types of intellectual property rights that are already existing, which we not focus on. So if you see, this is a unique watch. So the name of the watch is covered by the trademark. The technology for the watch, the Bluetooth technology, or all the other kinds of display technology, everything are covered under the patents. So the shape, you can see this is a unique shape of a watch where it's not a regular shape. So these unique shapes are covered under the Designs Act. So the software which is running behind the phone, behind this watch, is covered by copyright. So on a day-to-day basis, these are already existing, and this kind of intellectual property rights are there, which many of them are not aware of. So typically what happens is, many of them think that intellectual property right registration is very simple, just like going and getting a partnership form registration or a GST registration, or filling up a form on online and you can get an MSME with your other. But it's not the case with the intellectual property rights. It has to undergo a lot of turbulence, like this is the entire procedure which is common to almost all the segments of the IP, where after filing it will be examined by the issuing authority, whether it's a trademark office, patent office, or a copyright office, and or a designs office. All the 4 are separate. And then after the examination only this kind of protection is given. So if, after the objection, we need to give a reply. And after giving reply, sometimes they don't accept that reply also, they will call for show cause hearing. So this is all a procedure that takes almost a minimum of 6 months. Now it has extended to 9 to 10 months now, to a maximum of 2 to 3 years if the opposition is not come. If opposition comes, then it will take another long time. So if you see somebody has got a registered trademark or a registered patent, a granted patent, they have undergone all this pain and then they got it. So that is the reason the registered trademark or a granted patent has a very good high value, because it's not an overnight journey it has undergone. So patents are filed. So what happens if a patent is filed? Your patent is now disclosed to public. So and it will be there in the public domain. So you will only get 20 years of monopoly. So now competitors know what your patent have been filed and they can design around your patent, and because of that your competitors are also in the space of the product line you are into. So, and if you see the complete specification of any patent, in order to get a patent grant, the important criteria is something called as posita. How many of you know the word posita here in the audience? The posita means a person ordinarily skilled in the art. A civil engineer, a civil patent, a civil engineer is a posita, a person ordinarily skilled in the art. A mechanical related patent, a mechanical engineer is the posita, person ordinarily skilled in. So what does this complete specification and posita is related to? When an engineering patent, an electrical or a mechanical patent is granted, a mechanical engineer, if he reads the complete specification of the patent, he should be able to make that invention. That is the criteria. So if the mechanical engineer is not creating the patent, then the complete specification lacks the minimum criteria of the disclosure to grant the patent. Even though if the patent is granted, the patent can be challenged. So if you go through any patent document in your subject domain and you feel that the disclosure is not proper, I cannot redo this invention and then I cannot prepare the product which is mentioned in the invention, that is one of the grounds to get the patent revoked. So now patent is going to be complete specification, have to have complete disclosure about the product. Now if that is the case, what is now patent providing? Patent is providing every information that is required for a patent in the public domain. So now this is something important to understand the trade secret concept. Initially, many of you who are more than 50 years of old will know Coca-Cola was there in India before, and suddenly Indian government was forced all the organizations to disclose whatever the contents they are having on the product. Because Coca-Cola product is a trade secret formula which they don't want to disclose, so Coca-Cola discontinued the product sale in India. After that, India has entered into this TRIPS agreement in 1995. In 94, they have the talks have started. So this TRIPS agreement in 1995 came into force in 2005. During that period, what happened is India was having own patents, rules, acts, and now Indian patent, Indian trademark law, Indian copyright law, Indian design law have been synchronized with the international laws. So before 2005, there was no product patent in India. Because India has entered into TRIPS agreement and India has to comply with the international standards, the international law says to grant a product patent. So from 2005 onwards, Indian Patent Act gives the power to grant patents in India for products also. Such kind of amendments have come up in the trademark law. In that inheritance of the this kind of synchronizing the Indian laws with the international laws, trade secrets also is one of the aspects that has come into the regime. That is the reason now India is also under the governing policy of trade secrets. So what is TRIPS is actually is to allow free flow of trade, investment and eliminate the restrictions enduring the norm of intellectual property to harmonize it entirely along with the international standard. So as per I told you, the TRIPS agreement section 39, article 39 gives protection of undisclosed information. Now till now we have discussed about patents. Patents means disclosure. Now we are talking about something undisclosed information. So in the course of ensuring effective protection against unfair competition, as provided in Article 10 of the Paris Convention, members shall protect undisclosed information in accordance with Para 2 and data submitted to government or government agencies in accordance with the Para 3. So, if a natural and legal person shall have possibility of preventing information lawfully within their control from being disclosed to, acquired by, used by others without their consent in a manner contrary to honest commercial practices so long as such information. So, Now, what is a trade secret and what are the types of trade secret we are going to talk about? What cannot be protected under trade secret? Examples and protection of trade secret, advantages, drawbacks, and we'll go with the litigation also. So, now what is a trade secret? Trade secret is nothing but some information which is there within the organization. And it is not generally or reasonably ascertainable. So, I can't say something I have taken from Google and then say this is my trade secret. This is something which I have done over a period of time and acquired some information, knowledge, and through a lot of experimentation and lots of permutations and combinations, I have acquired this data. So there is some kind of information. That information will have a commercial value. Because of that, this is the information which I don't want to make it into patentable patent domain, because if I go with the patent domain, I have to disclose everything, which I don't want. In order to avoid such disclosure, the trade secret is one aspect which is going to help you. So, this information should have some economical value. Otherwise, that even though that is protected, if it is not having any economic value, is no point even if somebody is having that information, because when we talk about intellectual property rights, everything is linked up to money. And these trade secrets will be closely guarded within the organization, because this is developed within the organization and the organization has the complete control of the information. So, many companies have lots of trade secrets which they themselves don't know that this can be protected under trade secret. How? So we can see some of the examples which you can understand. So what are the trade secrets information which we are talking about? So these are techniques. So if a person, you are already doing some kind of a manufacturing or some kind of a business where you are dealing with some products. So you are still in the market because you are having some kind of unique selling proposition. What is that? So you can actually control your product with regards to the quality, with regards to the pricing, with regards to the manufacturing duration, time period. So many factors are involved in this. So you have a unique, some kind of an indigenous techniques which you might have, which you yourself don't know that you are doing it, and your competitor also cannot provide the product at the particular cost. If such a case, you have that trade secret where you are able to provide the same product for a lower cost with a better quality than the competitor, because you have some techniques which the competitor doesn't have. If you are able to identify those things, that is protected by the trade secrets. So you have some unique formula, some program, method, some drawings, process, a technical data, and even list of customers also is also one of the, because you might have the product, but you should also know who the customer is to whom this product is required. So many of them are not able to do the sales because they are unable to find the customers. So now you have already a ready-made customer data who has already taken. So many a times what happens in any organization is this data is taken away by the employees to whom you trust and share this information. After the employees go away, they again target the same customers with the same product. What happens? So you have your hard-earned 20 years of your experience is just taken away by overnight. So majorly so many times trust factor is one thing which people blindly keep on people. So the organization keeps the trust on the management who is in possession of this data. They don't think that one day they themselves are going to take this data away. So they don't anticipate this kind of issues. Excuse me. So trade secrets example, a formula of a sports team. So an invention which is not patented, there is an invention which is not patented, that is also going to qualify for a trade secret. So you have some marketing strategies. So what are the marketing strategies? So I am developing some product which is actually going to help the car's tire to grip on ice. So if I have a tire which has a grip on ice, can I use this car in a desert? No. It's only in the areas where there is a huge snowfall. So now my countries are, whichever countries there is a snowfall is my target strategy. So now I am designing a product for this particular tire, especially for those kind of markets. Now I have a strategy in place for me to place these products in the particular countries. So now my strategy will be to protect my intellectual property rights in all those countries where my market is there. Now these are all the strategies which I develop within my scope, and the customer base which is there in now, say for example I want to sell my product in green tanks. Now who is the customer there who actually uses this kind of products? Who is a person who is exporting those kind of vehicles to Greenland? So even if it is a country which is manufacturing in Brazil, to send those kind of cars to Greenland. So what happens is I will now target the customers in Brazil. So such kind of strategies are very important in this case. You have unique algorithms. So these algorithms are now going to save a lot of time and a lot of strategies to safeguard cost also. So these are some of the trade secret examples. Now we will move further. Even the food recipes are also protected by trade secrets. So what is not trade secret? So as I discussed, the information which is already in the public domain is not a trade secret. And information obtained by reverse engineering. So now I have developed something, and if I can easily reverse engineer it, then there is not a subject matter which can be protected, because when the reverse engineering is possible, it is once the product is out in the market, anyone can buy and then do a reverse engineering. Any product which can be reverse engineered should only be protected by patent. It cannot be protected by a trade secret. So this information which is there as a confidential information has to be safeguarded in a bank locker, because that is the safest place where you can keep such kind of confidential information in the safe manner. And limit the number of people and sign an NDA. Many organizations does not have proper non-disclosure agreements in place, which can actually protect you in case of theft of confidential information. Why? Because they trust people, but end of the day when money matters, people are least bothered about ethics. So this is what we have seen in several companies happening. We have filed several criminal cases and also kind of civil cases for claim of damages also under the theft of confidential information and trade secrets also. So many a times organizations give some job works to outsiders. Say for example DICE. DICE, they don't do in-house, they outsource. Sometimes they do some part of the work and some part of the work is outsourced. Even those kind of job works also you should take non-disclosure agreements from the other party. The main reason why you have to take a non-disclosure agreement from that other party is he may be the person who will be disclosing that kind of a confidential information to others competitors, and most importantly your competitors themselves will again come and then reduce your profit margin in the market, because they are going to compete with the same customer along with you. So what happens is the drawings that you share to the die maker or the other job workers, whatever the requirement is there, you should also execute non-disclosure agreements with them, very strong agreements. So every document that is having this confidential information should be marked as confidential and proprietary in nature, because that is also a warning and indicating the person that these are the documents that needs protected documents, and this cannot be distributed or photocopy can be taken. So why some companies take a trade secret is because of monopoly. Patent expires in 20 years, but trade secret no, because KFC formula, you can see some examples. It is something like perennial protection. there is no protection for any intellectual property rights unlimited. But these kind of trade secrets have this protection of unlimited coverage. And it has worldwide protection because you are not disclosed it anywhere in the public. So you can have monopoly not only because if you have a patent, the patent is a territorial right. If you have a patent in India, you have only right in India. You have USA patent, you have only right in USA, but not like trade secret. Trade secret has a very widespread protection everywhere because it's not known, it's only known to you, it's a secret. And no one can also do a reverse engineering in this case. So you will not file any application for protecting a trade secret. And you will not do any kind of registration also to protect a trade secret. And no public disclosure is required. So what are the limitations of trade secret? So trade secret, very strict protocols have to be followed. Very, very strict. That is, you should actually limit the persons to whom the information is disclosed and the documentation should be there, and it should be a 24/7, 365 days surveillance should be there to protect this kind of trade secret. So protocols have to be followed. And whatever the trade secrets are there, if you see a patent is published in, for example, automobile industry. Now there is another advancement is done by a operator in the particular domain. So patent document help in technological improvements. But trade secret, a person will have a monopoly on that and nobody can even come in very close to them. So similar to such kind of example, we can say the fish medicine that is given for asthma patients in Hyderabad. That is also a kind of family traditional customary composition which nobody knows, only the family members knows it. Then now even if somebody wants to do a better version of that, nobody can do because it's protected by trade secret. Similarly like a Coca-Cola formula also, Coca-Cola. So these are some of the secret ingredients which are not disclosed to anyone till date. See, this is WD-40, it's a anti-rust and multiple use spray which is been there since very long time and nobody can even replicate that. Coca-Cola, as you know, and KFC also, the masala, the 11 herbs formula, which is actually there are three different forms are there. One unrelated to each other. The mixture is different. Company one does in one area, company two does in another area. These two are mixed in another third area, third company, and these three are unrelated and nobody knows about this. So what is the trade secret violation and what kind of remedy you have? So the misappropriation of trade secrets is actually how acquiring the trade secret by theft, coercion or through other unlawful acts. Like you can hack the computer systems and then try to break and then take the information from them. And spying, cyber attacks are internal employees. The major 90% of the trade secret issues are with the employees or the partners or the decision makers in the company. What happens is, I give you a small example. Once a company, a couple of them has come, one is coming with the technology and another person is coming with the investment. Both of them are trying to form a company. Then they were sitting in front of me and I asked them, okay, after 5 years, if you want to split the company or you want to wind up the company, do you have any specific strategy how you want to do it? Because you have developed intellectual property rights like you will be having trademark your company name and you also have some technical products because they are into water purifiers. So some kind of innovation patents will also come. So at that time if you are splitting, how you would like to split? The moment I said this, they started imagining that after 5 years what will be their company and their position, and they started having differences. They fought and the company never formed. So such kind of because this is my mental money is something which actually creates such kind of a turbulence. So now protection of trade secret is actually through common law principles like unfair competition law. It's a principle of thought where even though there is no contractual relationship, it is actually breach of trust and breach of confidence where the person has entrusted and given the confidential information to the other person. Even though there is no contract, still this protects the common law remedy protects them. So contract law also has a provision, and also criminal law, breach of trust and cheating can come into the picture. So section 27 of the Contract Act clearly says it restricts parties in contract from disclosing any kind of information. So when I have disclosing any information, when I say disclosing it to any third party cannot be done. So you can even claim damages occurred due to such breach of confidential information. So now here the challenge arises is you should be very well aware that who has to have access to that particular confidential information. So how do you protect it? Now you should have understand what are the protections mechanisms that are available where you can protect your confidential information. So you should have limited access. Don't keep your confidential information available just like that on a table or any other place where multiple people have access. So the restriction should be there. The confidential information should be kept in such a place where the information cannot be easily accessible to a common man or a person not related to such particular information. So no one should have complete knowledge about these trade secrets. So here, if you have a trade secret, so it should be distributed, and then you should actually have a mechanism that one, just like KFC formula which you mentioned, three entities manufacture that 11 hours. So 3 entities doesn't know about each other, what they are doing and where they are, the end product they are receiving and they are doing it. Such kind of similar strategy has to be implemented in organizations also to safeguard these trade secrets, because even one part of the trade secret is even leaked. They cannot do anything because without having the other 2 chain linkages. Should not be reverse engineerable. So this is also one aspect. So what happens is there are some food recipes that are protected by trade secrets. So if somebody copies the trade secret, how do you evaluate that this person has copied the trade secret? There are some, in the entire recipe, there will be some ingredient that will be put in that food recipe which does not have any value, neither to the taste, neither to the smell, neither they are called markers. They are kept in that particular recipe. If it is leaked, the person who is actually having this also doesn't know why this marker is used. He will also put that marker and he will be caught. So this is a strategy that is adopted. So such kind of, even though somebody tries to tweak in also, you will have to have some strategy in place which can actually, you can easily catch hold of these culprits. So usually any system that is connected to internet is easily traceable and can be hacked. It can be hacked. So it is always suggestible that that information that is protected, having such kind of information does not have any internet connection also. Such kind of high and also have these firewalls and also have very strict digital security systems. So as we mentioned, should be split into different parts and stored in different locations. So only the decision makers of the entity should know about the trade secrets and keep high vigilance within the organization. So here, provide mobile phone and office contact numbers to all the employees dealing with customers directly. Client contacts not lost even if the employee leaves the organization. Many of them actually lose business because of this. The employees who are in a very high position will be, when he leaves the organization, the customers tend to again contact them. Then he says, sorry sir, I am not working in the particular organization. Now because when the employee leaves, he again works in a similar environment, similar company, similar competitor only. He doesn't leave the industry and join another different industry. So he says no. So even you also doesn't know that there is a potential customer is contacting us. So what happens is this data is very important, because even if you think you have 50 employees as a market sales force and 20 leads, in that 20, even if 5 leads have been converted to other organization, depending on the business size, you know how much volume of business you lose. Just by giving a mobile phone and your company SIM card to them, you can stop this kind of data leakage and also business loss to the company. So high data security provisions in the office and change the passwords frequently. And here the most important of trade secrets is this: proper documentation. Even if employees management team is close friends, relatives or family members, have proper documents in place, have a proper NDA in place. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I thank MSME for inviting me today.
Sir, one thing.
Yes, sir.
In patent, after 20 years of completion of the period, if they do small amendment, can they go for renewal of that thing?
Not very much, sir. You need to again file a fresh patent only. You have two provisions.
Okay.
One, you can file a patent of addition,
Okay.
and the other, otherwise you need to file a fresh application. The patent of addition is only applicable to be filed within 20 years.
Fine.
And the patent of addition is only valid until the main patent is expired. So the new patent application, when you file, at that time you have to disclose in your claims saying that this is what the invention is already there, characterized by is what your development is coming up. So that is what the differentiation factor comes in.
So that is the justification.
Technical
justification to the
but the only improvement part only you will get the patent. But the old one is again coming into the public domain after 20 years.
So that will become a generic medicine then.
General, yes, general. That is open to public.
Fine. Thank you.
Sir, one more thing. Sometimes, it is better, if a new startup is there, they are having great secret recipe, but they patent it, then it becomes more marketable. They mention that is a patented food product,
Yeah.
So to promote, give a head start, they normally they can protect their trade secret, but they would prefer to go for food patent.
Yeah.
Recently.
The reason why they do go for a patent is any startup objective is two. One, scale.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sell it to some other company and invite investors. So the psychology of these companies is they look at the valuation of the company. If a patent is granted, the valuation automatically doubles, triples. So that is the only game they are playing because of that. Because even if they want to protect it as a trade secret, a startup company has a minimum, they don't have enough infrastructure to safeguard their foundation information within the organization. If they patent it, even though it is, the information is lost, there is no problem because they are at least protected by these patents. So even that is also suggestible for a startup, but not for a multinational company who is having 200, 300 crore turnover company to go for this kind of strategy. So it again differs. If it is a this kind of company, definitely would suggest to go with the trade secret with all these kinds of protocols in place.
Sir,
Yeah.
While giving the patent, the examiner doesn't ask the formula.
See, it's a composition. There are in food patents, you have composition, what ratios you are mixing, number one. Number two, the method of preparation, at what stage and after what stage you are preparing, and if you have a specific temperature, specific time duration you are keeping, separately if you are heating and cooling it, some kind of pasteurization you are doing. So such kind of important things are going to fill in such kind of an aspect. So for a food product patents, now important is you should also get approval from NDA, National Biodiversity Board also. Yeah.
How come for the medicine part, it is a homeopathy or Ayurveda? How is trade secret helping over there?
Actually, for the Ayurvedic formula or a homeopathic is actually already existing formulations is also there. It's already in the public domain. Once it is in the public domain, they are not trade secret formula. The only trade secret formula may exist if YATRA, some kind of a homeopathic clinic was have indigenous formula which is not protected.
We have our own formula. So that can be
Protected by trade secret, yeah. The only protection mechanism of a trade secret is have a confidential NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and data protection policies within the organization with the employees and all the people who are having access. What is the mechanism you are adopting in the organization to protect this as a trade secret. So first of all, you have to identify this is my trade secret. Second, who have access to it? A limited access system has to be generated. The third is that limited access system, how they are doing, what are the steps you have taken to prevent this leakage of this data. This itself gives you the weightage that you yourself are giving that valuation of a trade secret credentials. So this has to be documented in the organization. So this documentation is going to help.
I think this is more better only for products and in medicines only is the trade secret.
Not necessarily, even chemical compositions also.
But whereas in technical issues or mechanical issues, how can we think the trade secret will last long? Because sometimes in the meanwhile somebody may get the same ideas. Then we are losing both patent and this also.
No, sir. Here what
mechanical inventions are there. Suppose nowadays every day the evolution is going on. The same idea when you are keeping in your mind means that is a trade secret.
Correct.
Trade secret means keeping in your mind. When we are disclosing and we are doing means that is a patent.
Correct.
Okay, sir. How long you keep in your mind, that is a trade secret.
I'll tell you, sir. I'll give you an example. There is a product where there are that product is available. The end product is also available in the market, provided by a multinational company, which is being used by a very big Indian company. That product is costing almost 5 lakh rupees. The same product using the 3 ingredients, but in a different process. And procuring the raw material from a unique place which none of the competitors know till date. And the process adopted for that has reduced the cost from 5 lakh rupees to almost 80,000 rupees. If you see, the competitors can even never reach that place also. So here is the procurement of raw material is one aspect. The second aspect is the process that you are adopting, the formulation, is a trade secret. Now here this is also a product. It's not a food product. It's another product, mechanical product, which is used in defense, which is used in navy, which is used in ship, marine also. So these kind of important products are manufactured with a huge cost variation. What else they require now? Everywhere in any tender, they are the L1, they are only getting the orders, and quality also no compromise, superior than what they are importing.
No sir, here is small difference. I am talking about the function. See, whatever the quality may be, whatever the specifications you use, that is one part. But the till end what the customer see, the function of the body see. Suppose piston is there. When the bullet goes, that is one function. Whatever you use inside, that is a different part. But sometimes like some wheelchairs, okay sir, the wheels, going now steps, now recently. But earlier we don't have that type of facility. But if you keep on, you keep the trade secret inside and doing. But sometimes they can change, then the same idea will come now sir. How can we have to implement it?
That's what I
we have trade secret inside. You have to implement, no.
When you implement, it should not be reverse engineerable. If you can reverse engineering is possible, it cannot be protected under the trademark law. So if it is a device like a mechanical device, then it is easily I can see how the functioning is happening. I can even use the stepper motor they have used, because it is automatically calculating the height of the system and then rotating the motor to such a level where it can lift. So this is a one mechanism where I can easily imagine.
Yes.
So this kind of things are reverse engineering possibility is there, which can never be protected under the trademark law.
That's correct. So then you can go for patent also, no?
Patent only, yeah, absolutely.
Then you can go for patent, minimum you will get 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a strategy. So what needs to be kept as a trade secret and what needs to be kept as a patent has to be strategized as the initial phase itself. Once we see this, there is a threat. That definitely this can be reverse engineered and can easily be reached to this point. Then obviously this can be pulled up back and then go for a patent application.
So mostly companies will opt this mixed strategy where some things, which cannot be easily reversed here, they'll keep as a trade, and remaining thing they will disclose which is required, minimum is required.
Sure.
So they adopt the mixed strategy.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I was just disturbed for a moment when a typical algorithm, leave alone formulas like Coca-Cola and KFC, or for that matter, Listerine. How we can protect as a trade secret for an algorithm? First of all, algorithm of a software, does it fit into a trade secret at all? Of course, copyright is there. India, it is copyright. US, it is patent. That is the thing. Then common law also comes into picture. Breach of contract, 1872. So all this comes into picture. But how we can encapsulate an algorithm under the garb of trade secret? If you throw some light, fine. It's a big topic.
Sir, actually, algorithms, if you see the Google algorithms, how Google crawls upon different websites and gathers information and creates the database, is one of its unique kind, which nobody still now have reached the spot. So that is the reason that algorithm is now a trade secret actually.
True, but it's a giant organization which nobody can find it out. What about a common developer? Nowadays all blockchain development is coming up, which is having a huge potential. So nobody knows the valuation. It could be $1 or $1 million. But how you can protect it under the garb of trade secret?
See,
Google is a good example, but it's a giant.
See, if at all the algorithm is copied, now Google has taken all the steps that it requires to safeguard the algorithm, and that can never be reachable to the common man.
Then go for a patent.
No. Google is not going for patent. Google has.
Your subject, your topic, and the audience mindset is trade secret. So, drawing parallels, extrapolating the matter of algorithm to trade secret, how we can protect?
Yeah, algorithms of the trade secret. Its only option is by keeping the confidentiality within the organization with the agreement, and it not accessible to anyone. That is one aspect.
Yes.
Now, when I say somebody has copied, first of all, when it is copied, I have to establish that the algorithm what the individual person has done and the algorithm which we are having is one and the same. Correct?
Fine, but when you see.
How you are going to establish? So there is actually a provision in the when you go for litigation of the trade secret law. So you have you need to submit your confidential algorithm what is there in a sealed cover and deposit in the court. And then the court will evaluate both the algorithms and then pass an order whether there is a breach of any confidentiality. But here in this case, in case. See here the challenge here is one aspect, trade secret, if it can be reverse engineered, cannot be called as a trade secret. So if this algorithm can be reverse engineered and then created using the new latest technology like this as the blockchain and all, even that trade secret of a unique algorithm also ceases to be a trade secret. Because it is coming into the public domain where any common man can come to that extent because of the available technology. Maybe this technology was not there before where common man can reach that level, where Google has done it at that point of time. Now, when the common man has come to that stage, that ceases to be a trade secret.
Having cited Google, what is the citation of Google?
I will share you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Naveen Garu. Manchi elaborated and with good interaction about the trade secret. And thank you so much. Now I request Bist, who is a coordinator for MSME IPR scheme, requested to illustrate Dr. Naveen Garu. It's short, okay. will take a little tea break and we will come back again. So one more good session is there. Thank you.